What's up, summoners? King Blair here. Today we're going to be talking about the current filler banner, which is going to be Kayron. Drop right up. So this is the first banner where they are implementing the new system. So I will be a little bit more critical of the character because now when you pull from this banner, before you weren't guaranteed a hero, you could get other 5-star heroes. You could, it wasn't as consistent that you were for sure going to get that banner hero. But now it is, and you can even get it guaranteed with 120. So I will be more critical of the character and actually tell you guys should you pull for him and when you should or shouldn't pull for him. Of course, for all of these filler banners, I'm going to tell you do not do the 120 summons unless the character is absolutely broken tier. And I will let you guys know for sure if that is the case. For this, it's not. So just for now, just treat it like a regular banner that you would before. But just keep in mind that you will get Kayron if you pull for this banner enough. And let's just get right into the skills because he is a really solid PvP character. Such a good character. So I'll try not to be super biased about this because I really want a Kayron. And I have had a chance to play on my brother's account. He usually ends really close to champion. And he uses Kayron a lot. He has a really solid Kayron. So I do know quite a bit about Kayron, like his strengths, his weaknesses. But just a fun fact about him. He is the fastest unit in the game. Will you build him speedy? No, you are not going to build him. You're not going to use his speed that much. It's just kind of like like the more you know. He also has a very high base attack speed. But he is a glass cannon. And we'll see why it works for him so well. So first skill, nothing super crazy. Before I start with the skills, let's talk about the animations first. All the animations are like S tier. This is probably one of my favorite design characters. It's like, it feels like such a good, well-made villain too, to the storyline. And he just he just looks so amazing. His skills, you'll see his ultimate, you'll see his passive, you'll see you'll hear his quotes when you're checking him out. He's nuts. He's actually like insane animation level. It's actually like, Epic 7 went way out of their way to make this character just look so freaking good, which is why I really want to get him. He's husbando number 1. But alright, let's just get into it. First skill, nothing crazy at first. So very low chance to get decreased hit chance. You're not going to be using this so much. He's not used for his debuffs. He's just used for the raw damage he provides. But again, as I said, the animations is just sick. The way he weaves around in and out of combat just fits his character style so well. But nothing crazy starting off right now. And you'll see as we go where he starts getting a little crazy. And it starts with the second skill. So as we mentioned before, he is a glass cannon. So he does need a way to be able to put that damage out. And they gave that to him. So you cannot one-shot him. Because when he will receive lethal damage, Immortal will trigger. And this will trigger for a whole turn. So let's say that you have a Watcher Shuri that does 18k HP. So there's no way that he's not going to die. You use it on Kayron. Before he dies, he'll get Immortal, which means he won't die. And he'll get a bunch of turns afterwards. He'll get 1 turn of immortality, so he's basically guaranteed an extra turn. That's all you have to remember. You probably have gone against something before and you're like, what the hell, why can't I kill him? He does get this buff, and he can extend it. As far as if you do have him or do get him, do not put Molagora on this. It is not worth the Molagora to investment to the amount of times that it will actually matter that you have a lower cooldown on this. Because it's just a one-time thing. If you get the one-time thing and you didn't win the fight from that one-time thing, you're not going to win the fight. So there's no point in Molagoring this. But just basically, he can't be one-shot. He's guaranteed at least 1 turn. The last thing that rounds out his kit, as we'll see with this passive, is his auto also becomes an AoE hit. And we will go over that a little bit. So the ultimate is such good scaling ratios for one-shotting units. It's actually like a well-built Kayron with this skill, with no buffs and the enemy having no debuffs, and of course having no Crimson Armin. If he crits, this skill will be doing anywhere from 20 to 30,000, depending on how squishy or anything the target is. Because it's based on his missing health. And usually, this skill will always come back up whenever he takes lethal damage and gets Immortal. And you'll be at 1 HP. So this will be doing a lot of damage. And it's like nuts amount of damage. It's like not okay amount of damage. And if you kill a target, which if you're the person piloting this, or even if it's the AI will always use the skill first. And will go for the squishiest unit. it will usually kill. So you usually will get the buff extension. So what this means is he'll ulti. Again, sick ulti. Like, the way he just like dashes out before like the explosion, man, like it's just so awesome. But you'll get immortality. You'll be at 1 HP. You use this skill. You kill the enemy target, like the priority enemy target. So whether that's a Vildred, a Moonlight Armentia, a Moonlight Sage Balanceson, you know, all these like squishier units that people do have to put on their teams, like their damage dealers. You do the skill on them, you kill them, you get immortality for one more turn, which means that you're guaranteed a follow-up turn the next turn, and you get the AoE auto attack. So this AoE being an auto attack is more significant than you think. The damage ratios are the same as they would be for a single target, if not higher now, because you have the increased attack. And the other nutty part, which is why you should build him with this artifact, it can proc Dust Devil. So if you do this auto attack, he can proc Dust Devil right here and AoE again for a ton of damage. I've seen Kayrons do 20k. That's normal for a Kayron to do that much. And it's like, oh god, dude, it's actually not an okay amount of time. And you can even soul burn it. So then you get even more damage, like more AoE damage. So he has, as a damage dealer, access to massive single target damage and massive AoE follow-up damage. And it's a not okay amount of damage. It's actually like nuts. Like a good Kayron should be doing 20k. Like 15k on the auto, AoE auto, and like 20 to 30k on the third skill. If they're not doing that, you probably don't have the best Kayron in the world, but he is very stat hungry. So basically what you're looking at is that big damage dealer that has single target potential with a lot of AoE follow-ups that can just demolish a lot of teams. And it comes to a point where you either have an answer for him or you don't. So we'll talk about how that plays into his strengths and weaknesses, but I'm gonna start talking about where he shines, and then I'll talk about his weaknesses and when he shines, kind of how it's done. So first off, for PvE, Zero uses PvE. He's probably one of the worst PvE units that you could ever use, because all he does is damage, and he doesn't really get his damage unless he's about to die. So he's really not a good PvE unit. There's no content right now that you can really use him on. Like you could force him in some team comps like for Labyrinth and for Raid, but I wouldn't. He's not a PvE unit. But so we're not even going to talk about PvE. If you're wanting a really strong PvE unit, Kayron is not the one to look for. But now let's talk about the PvP potential that he has. So typically, where he shines is against teams that are really, really fast and squishy. So I don't know if you guys have seen those in your defenses. There's not that many anymore. Like the higher you get up, they become far and few in between. But the lower you go, it becomes pretty common where it will be like, typically it'll be like a Rusid, and then like a Sid or a Celestial Mercedes, a Vildred, maybe like a Horado, you know, like a Moonlight Armentia. You know, a lot of these units that are really, really fast, or like they'll have like a Celeste, Challenger Dami, Moonlight Armentia, and then like a Vildred, or like the Tenimbre. Like there's a lot of different team comps I can talk about, but basically I'm talking to the ones that are really, really fast and are just trying to end the game in like 1 or 2 turns. And those, you'll still see some defenses, some of those defenses higher up, not as often, but they do show up a lot. Those type of defenses, Kayron will just absolutely demolish. So Kayron is really good for going second teams. So typically you'll put him against one of those teams, even for Guild Wars, like teams that want to get that first turn, you'll slap on a Kayron. Like the ones that have Vikings and things like that, because what will happen is you will let them get first turn. You don't care if they get first turn. You don't care what they can do to you, because you're Kayron. There's nothing they can do to kill you first turn, unless we'll talk about the counters in a second, that he can't get countered by some units. But they go in, let's say they even wipe out your whole team, you don't even care. You could put like freaking like 2 stars next to Kayron, and Kayron will probably still win the fight. They do all their damage, you come in with Kayron, you third skill, you kill their priority unit, you get that extended buff, you get that attack buff, and then you come in with your auto attack and wipe out the whole team. Because he is that strong. He does do that much damage because both these skills are based on his lost health. He can wipe out so many freaking teams. Of course, you wouldn't do that. You would pair him up with like revivers, like if you had a rule of light, made Chloe, and things like that, just to make it so if they do manage to kill you, you have a follow-up the next turn. Or even like another tank, like a regular Corvus. Like Kayron plus Corvus is actually like not okay. Or Kayron plus Arbiter Vildred. Then it's like you're going full second. Like you're going sick mode. If you had a Kayron and a Arbiter Vildred, you're gonna win against any fast team comp. So in order to be able to build your Kayron towards this, you do need to build him one with Dust Devil. That's like a non-negotiable. The sets, it does depend. Some people do build him with Lifesteal. I'm not a fan of that. I'd rather just go for straight damage. And you build him with Will. You have to have Will. That's the one thing that you can't not have on your Kayron, because that also gives you the option to be able to beat some Dizzy teams. So a god like Kayron, which is a going second team Kayron, will have Will, will have very high effect resistance, will have insane damage, and will have Dust Devil and immunity. That's a god like Kayron. And you will see some of those. And they're actually like on a different stratosphere of like how good a unit can be. And people just won't have an answer to it a lot of the times. And that just automatically wins you fights. But now let's talk about his weaknesses. And he does have a lot of weaknesses at the moment. And that's something that does kind of suck for people that own Kayron and want Kayron, such as myself, because you can't use Kayron against every team. He does not work that way. So he is good against certain tank teams, but tanky water teams absolutely destroy him. I'm talking about Angelica, Seaside Bellona, Dizzy, like tanky Dizzies, especially Dizzy being so prevalent, makes it really, really hard for Kayron to shine. And it makes it really, really limited in the places you can use him because so many people have Dizzies. Against teams that only have Dizzy and then the other stuff is like relatively squishy or relatively just tankier, he still can do his job pretty well. But it does make it a lot harder when there's a Sage Balance Sun and a Dizzy, because Dizzy absolutely nullifies him. Another thing that really, really hurts Kayron right now is people aren't building fast Dizzies as much. They're building more of like counterattack Lele Violin Dizzies, which that's a whole video in itself. Because that's just a broken mechanic that's out right now with Dizzy having counter set and a Lele Violin. Because that just means that they have a way, most people what they will do is they will have a damage dealer who will get your Kayron to 1 HP, Dizzy will come in with their ultimate and just wipe out your buff. And then you just lose. Because he loses immortality, and the way immortality works is when a debuff is removed, he'll still die. It's really weird how that works. But the second immortality goes away, you die. Because you're basically at 0 HP. So it really does suck that this is so prevalent. It's kind of the thing that kept Kayron in check and made him not be as viable as he used to be. So TLDR, after everything I've said, should you pull for him? So me personally, I will be pulling for him. Because I've always wanted a Kayron. And there are a couple of times, especially in Guild Wars, where having a Kayron automatically wins you some matches, especially against those faster team comps that are trying to just like wipe out your team. You could honestly just put Kayron and he'll be able to one-shot everything. And as far as Arena, right now Dizzy is huge. And Seaside Bellona does not help in this department. Because now you can have a Dizzy going in with their third skill with Lele Violin, which is the best artifact on Dizzy right now is Lele Violin for PvP. Goes in with Lele Violin, takes off your immunity, and Seaside Bellona just comes in, puts that unbuffable on you, and you just automatically lose. So that's really rough. And so right now it's not the meta for him. One day, I hope in the future, it will no longer be water meta, but as long as water meta is the case, Kayron will not see the light of day. And that's why I would honestly tell you, unless you really, really like his artwork, and feel like you have a really good team you can put him in that can play around his weaknesses of unbuffable and just a way to counter Dizzies. Like if you have a god like Baiken that can take out Dizzy before the fight even starts and then you can just win with Kayron, I would go ahead and summon for him. But he's very, very niche at the time and not the best character for everyone. And definitely a late game unit, but definitely a unit that can do so much. But that is all I have for you guys today. I hope y'all enjoyed. Let me know if you guys like this different like style of me kind of going over like how they're used in meta and how they're built and things like that, or if you're like, I just want to see the skills. But let me know. And that's all I got for you guys today. I will see y'all next time. Peace.